Hey everybody. I think we're pretty much on time. Might be about a minute late, but that's not so bad. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. My name is Kevin Merkel. I'm the CEO and founder of Coinmetro. Coinmetro, well, we're an exchange. We don't need to say much more than that. I mean, we're awesome, but outside of that, I think that's good enough. I'm here with Chief today, who's the founder of, I think it's pronounced Telestai. Is that right, or is it Telest AI? I mean, I don't know when this Telestai.
You got it right. Telestai.
All right,
yeah.
awesome. All right, so I'm I already said who I am. I think nobody really needs to know more about me. So Chief, give a quick intro, and we'll dive right into some questions.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. It's great to be here. I've been in crypto for about the last 4 years. Alternatively to that, I work in a couple of different industries in Australia, primarily wine, and also looked at a little bit of logistics as well. So my experience with crypto has been primarily coming out of a mining perspective. So I started as a GPU miner. I spent a lot of time fiddling with GPUs, fiddling with motherboards that were faulty and all that fun stuff. Built quite a nice little farm to mine, which was great. And then my sort of interest in the whole side of crypto has evolved since then in terms of looking at what are the actual problems that blockchain can solve, and what can we actually do as people to integrate some of the challenges that we experience into blockchain, and then resolve them that way. So outside of that, I'm a family man, got a couple of kids, live in sunny Australia. I was saying to Kevin earlier, we're just heading into winter, and I'm really not built for it personally. So looking forward to getting out of it. It's only May. I got the worst to come as well. So it's going to be a very cold winter.
Yeah, Australian winter doesn't sound all that bad. I mean, the Estonian winter, that's a winter. That's rough. I told Chief as well. I think the day I got to Estonia, I had left Mexico. It was about 30 Celsius. And then when I arrived to Estonia, it was negative 28. And I had no jacket, because why prepare yourself? That's not any fun. So I arrived, in a t-shirt. And I remained, kind of, I didn't grimace for about 15 seconds. And after that, it was game over. Good thing no one was filming, because it would have been embarrassing. Cool. So, all right, let's dive right in. So I think you made a cool point in the intro, in that you actually tried to build you tried to build things to solve problems, not build a thing where there is no problem, which is essentially 90% of crypto. People build solutions for problems that don't exist. So building solutions for problems that exist, that's actually pretty cool. So let us know, I guess, in your own words, what is Telestai, and why are you doing what you're doing, and what are you doing? What problems are you helping solve?
Yeah, look, the genesis of all this sort of stems back to, October, November 2023, really. And it came in the form of, I was looking at a lot of the data that supported social media, and I was looking at the way that people were using social media, and the people that were actually trying to generate content and things like that. But what particularly triggered me, I suppose, was a bit of a journey that I'd been on, where I was looking at the different creators and also the gatekeepers that those creators actually faced. So me personally, I love stories. I'm a big reader. I love writing. I like music. I like great movies and TV shows. So stories are really powerful to me. And I've found that the stories that I found most compelling were not necessarily the easiest ones to come onto screen or find in a book or what have you. And as I was doing a lot of I was sitting there flicking through Netflix, and I was just like, I said to my wife, I said, there's just nothing on that's of any interest. There's nothing new. There's nothing that's really compelling. And we just sort of finished House of the Dragon season, whatever it was, and we were looking for something else to watch. And we sort of started this conversation of what were the things that we enjoyed about this particular series, and then what were the sort of other series that we enjoyed. And she brought up this really interesting point when we got to music, which was, she's a big, she enjoys Phil Collins, and she's like, Phil Collins wouldn't get a start today. He was too old. He wasn't good looking enough. He wasn't the front man, but yet he produced some incredible music. And when you look at it like that, what has sort of happened in sort of society that we've grown up in now is it's all about the look, and it's all about, does it fit with the existing narrative that we actually have in our society? And I found that really, I don't know why, it just grabbed me. I just found that really frustrating because there's a lot of people out there who are very talented, and a lot of musicians in particular, authors, who produce work that is actually really good, but they just never get the chance to actually bring that to light. Coupled with that is I look at a lot of the crypto mining friends that I've got, many of the YouTubers, Hawk, Red Panda Mining, Mindsum, all these, great content creators who produce amazing stuff for their community. They've got, anywhere between 15 to 250,000 people on their actual YouTube channels. They get basically breadcrumbs from YouTube for the content that they're producing. And yet the truth behind it is they are what is keeping YouTube moving forward. They're producing the content that compels people to go to that website. Now, to me, I find that just a great injustice. I really don't think that it's fair that the artists and the people who are producing content that are drawing people to the platform are basically being, fed breadcrumbs from a remuneration point of view. So I kind of went on this journey of sort of sitting there and going, what if I was going to build something, would it look like to help these people, basically? What would it look like to actually create a platform that gave them privacy, gave them the chance to control their own financial future? It gave them the chance to reward users as well with some of the opportunities that they have there. And just started writing out what ended up being a bit of a manifesto, white paper type thing. And through kind of writing that, my other part to this was social media has become a place where the user is the product. You are basically scraped for your data to within inches of your life, and then basically it's sold to everyone to make a profit off your usage. And I just found that really quite wrong, because it's your data. You shouldn't be forced to give that up, firstly, and secondly, if you're going to make money out of it, you should at least get a portion of that, right? So why is that being taken off you? So sat down and had a really long think and constructed this white paper that ended up being the foundation for Telestai. And then from that, I started the journey of going, okay, how do I actually build this, and how do I make this come to life? And spent probably the next 8 months talking with a few different people, gathering some more information. And then I found our dev, one of our core devs, Zach, who looked at it and went, "This is really interesting. Let's see what we can do with that." So that's sort of the genesis of everything, basically.
I like how you brought up Phil Collins and the word Genesis in the same answer. So that's a cool tie-in. You got to be really old to get that one, but I guess there's probably a few of us watching that maybe got that tie-in, so that was cool. Phil Collins, great artist, by the way. I definitely will, and he absolutely would not make it today because he's not Instagrammable by any stretch of the imagination.
That's right.
Never has been, really. So yeah, we would have missed Phil Collins, man. Come on, that's like. That guy's got a massive discography, that's for sure. Cool. So I was mentioning the Genesis, which is cool. I think that's a great way to start the conversation. So let's talk a little bit about the solutions. I was going to say solution, but actually the solutions that you've kind of started to create and created and will create, I guess, over the short term behind this initial Genesis idea.
Yeah. So the core foundation that we're building off is a layer 1 mainnet called Telestai. It's proof of work consensus, so that means that it's mineable. Now, what we've actually done is we've looked at the algorithm and tweaked what was ProgPower into something that we now call Meraki. So that's our version of the mining algorithm. And the reason we went with this particular algorithm is it allows GPUs to basically mine it. But we've tuned down some of the intensity of the power usage for GPU miners, so it's a little bit more energy efficient for them. Now, the basis behind that is two things. One, we think that decentralization is best when it's GPU based. That means that you don't have to buy specialized equipment to mine it. So that means John Smith on the road can go down to your local computer store and buy the gear that's required to actually mine the coin. So that's part number one. Part number two is we believe that miners create the foundation for the community that then grows out for the project. And we believe quite fundamentally that they're going to be, a bit of a bedrock for us. So we started with that. So Telestai started as that mainnet. Then the first two things that we went to start to produce were a couple of really important pieces. The first is something called Zeroa. So that's a digital ID. What we have effectively done is embedded a BIP39 wallet into a Chrome extension, which is actually quite intriguing. I think we're probably one of the first that's done that in the way that we've sort of designed it. So that means that your digital ID, which gives you access to the Telestai ecosystem, is secure by a 12 seed. So no one can touch it, no one can find it. It's just yours. That particular Zeroa piece is important for a few reasons, and I'll kind of come back to it. The next part is we then built a product called Lasco. Now you're probably going, what is Lasco as a sort of a word? And I like, the etymology of words. Consider myself to be a bit of a modern day poet in that sense. But Lasco as a word comes from a cave that was discovered in France in the 50s. And a small boy actually went through there as he was looking for, I don't even know what he was doing, but basically he and a couple of mates were wandering through a cave, and they found some of the most ancient cave paintings that depicted the stories of the people of the time, which is a really amazing, thing to see. And those stories have identified to me that humans are storytellers throughout history, right? That's just part of who we are. So I decided to kind of name it in honor of that cave. And so Lasco, what it is it's a fully decentralized social media platform. You can access it only via using Zeroa. So you basically download Zeroa, and then you can basically log into Lasco. And what we're going to provide through there is a platform that's safe. So by safe, we want to make sure that the people who are using it don't have any of the nastiness that can potentially happen. That safety is basically guaranteed through AI moderation. So what we've done is in the back end, we've plugged in Flux AI's AI piece, and that moderates the actual posts that go live to protect from, bad stuff that could potentially come in. And I'll leave to your imagination what that might be. So Flux keeps us safe in the terms of the AI moderates it, but it's fully decentralized. So you can say whatever you want. There's no buzzwords that are stopped. So I noticed in a lot of different social media platforms these days, certain words are actually scale you down when you say them. So I won't say them because I don't know what the rules might be for us here, but certain words can basically impair the way the algorithm works and therefore scale you back down or get you banned. So we've basically said, within limits, here's the boundaries, but within those boundaries, you can do whatever you want. So that sort of protects free speech. What we're now also doing from a back end point of view is we've got kind of a main node that's up and running. So it's actually live now. Anyone can actually go and download Zeroa and log into Lasco today if they wish. So we've got text-based all working fine. But the improvements that are coming is we're going to actually also build in decentralized storage back end. So again, our partners Flux are going to help us there. And that will essentially allow content creators to store the content that they wish to depict to the world, and they can put it on Flux and then basically upload it straight to Lasco, easy peasy. The third part to that is we're also going to allow content creators to build their own node, so they can supply a node or purchase a node. What that will allow them to do is build their community and also charge a remuneration fee either via pay-per-view or subscription or however they want. So a little bit like what Patreon does, but they retain full remuneration. So we do not touch a cent. So if they want to charge $1 for their subscription service, they get the full $1. All payments will be done via TLS, but essentially that will be how we work through it. So we've built this sort of solution to allow people to firstly enjoy free speech in a censorship-free environment, and then we're working towards allowing communities to build and host their community in a safe space. And if content creators wish to charge for that, then they're welcome to do so. And the final part is we did also, because we haven't done enough, is we decided to build an operating system called Telestai CB. And what that means is it's a Tor-based operating system. That means you can basically access Telestai from anywhere in the world at any time. So it can't be stopped. So if you're in a country which censors heavily the type of social media that you can use, Telestai CB is sort of your safe haven. You can jump in and access all of the tools that we produced and post to your heart's content.
Very cool. Very cool. That's a nice suite of products, I have to say. And then the tie-in of Flux is actually we were introduced to you guys by the CEO of Flux. So Daniel is the guy who linked us together initially. So Daniel, if you're watching, thank you very much. Feel free to post a question, by the way. I see we already have a few, but if Daniel are out there and you want to post a question, have at it. But yeah, very cool. Anything else that you guys are working on or have worked on with Flux in the background?
They're the main two things at the moment. We are looking to plug in the backend storage piece probably in our next large update for Lasco. So that's the piece that we're working on now. The other part that we've got, and that actually does remind me, is what we're also trying to build for users is in the backend for Zeroa is the chance to, if a user chooses to, push their own metadata into Zeroa. So age brackets, key identifiers of who they are. Now, the reason that we're doing that is we're actually going to allow users the opportunity to, if they wish, sell their own data to advertisers. So we'll aggregate all that data up and put it into something called Mercatus, and then advertisers will have the opportunity to come in and actually look at, the habits of a user, not just across Lasco, but across all of their surfing experience, because Lasco will be able to actually track through that for you. That is obviously absolutely opt-in. It is not something that a user has to do, but we thought rather than social media platforms making the user the revenue stream, we'd allow users the chance to make their data the revenue stream and sell it themselves and be rewarded that way. Because at the end of the day, it's their data, and if they wish to sell it, they're welcome to do it.
Amazing. Also payments out in TLS, I imagine.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, definitely the kind of the all-encompassing. What about, so just as just a question from me, but it's considering that you're kind of looking to conquer, let's say, the online experience, whether that be from your data or interacting online or being able to share content, etc. What about messaging? Is that also something that you guys are envisioning for the future?
Yeah, we do see that as something that we want to put into the system. We haven't settled on how that path's going to take just yet. It's certainly something that's on our roadmap, because we know that decentralized messaging is not something that has been fully climbed as a mountain yet for people. But what we sort of envisage is that Zeroa will be an access to a messaging platform that we can then work with. So we're at the moment trying to focus on getting Lasco moving and Zeroa as feature laden as possible, and then we're definitely going to tackle messaging, because that is absolutely something that we feel people need the ability to do.
Yeah, there's an absolute hole, I think, when it comes to decentralized services and messaging. We've seen what's happened with Telegram and Signal and every other, I mean, maybe not decentralized, but let's say where people thought their messages were private, come to find out, not so much. Even the Secretary of Defense, I think, thought his messages were private, I guess. Not anymore.
Yeah. And it's like they promise end-to-end encryption and all these things, and then it's just like, well, it's not really that safe, is it now?
Yeah. I guess if the end has the access, then end-to-end still doesn't make any difference. That's probably the biggest issue. But amazing. So you mentioned a few things. So there's a few questions that rolled in from the community. I'm going to jump on those next. But since you've been mentioning a few things about potential, things coming on the roadmap, maybe give us a bit of a glimpse to the short, medium term, wherever you want to go in terms of the roadmap for you guys.
Yeah. So our pure focus at the moment is to build out some of the features that are on Lasco, because obviously there's a lot of opportunity there. So we want to put in, GIFs, we want to put in hosting opportunities. We want to make sure that the platform is something that people can use and enjoy as much as possible. So that's something that we're pretty passionate about doing. We're also going to expand out, obviously, Zeroa in that way that we can patch in the metadata and shoot that off the Mercatus as we require. Sort of more medium term, we're really keen to obviously look at a potential on-ramp for Zeroa. The reason for that is we want to then begin to look at the opportunity that we call them normies, but basically non-crypto natives. How do we help to make that onboarding experience as easy as possible? So if we can actually ensure that there's an on-ramp for TLS on Zeroa, it just basically means that if you get your auntie who's not great on crypto, but is okay with Facebook, right? And she jumps on and wants to download her the content from one of her favorite content creators. It's as simple as, double click and bang, bought and paid for via TLS. So the creator gets a TLS, and the person that's doing that transaction doesn't have to worry about jumping onto necessarily an exchange or anything like that. So that's probably something that I'll probably be looking to talk to you about, Kevin, at some point. Is hey, how can we do this? But that's sort of the process that we're looking for. So we want to make it as easy as possible. And then longer term, sort of, there's the messaging piece, and also a sort of a look at a digital library. There's a opportunity, I believe, in creating a place where people can come and read or find information without there being a political bias, or without there being a restriction on the information that's there. I've got some ideas for the naming of what that will look like. I've got some ideas of how it will work. What I'm trying to work out at the moment is, how soon to start to look into that. And secondly, what's the actual commercialization of it, to make sure that we can support that, but also make sure that users get the best experience possible. We do realize that everyone needs a little bit of incentive to build things in a decentralized way. So we need to work out what that looks like.
Very cool. But yeah, absolutely. When it comes down the road to figure out how to get that on-ramp going, I'm sure we can be of assistance. Maybe Apple Pay, Google Pay, and the best, something everybody knows how to use, like you said, and we handle all the messy stuff on the back end. But yeah, definitely excited to work on that with you, and potentially even Flux in the mix as well. Considering that they have a wallet that also has a broad amount of other assets, because you mentioned normies, but also you may have, diehard fans of some other asset, some community that want to come on and try things out, and they may have, XYZ asset, and they want to just jump in and not have to exchange it for TLS in the background, etc. So I think all those things can be accomplished. That would be a nice project to work on. Amazing. Just so everybody knows, Coinmetro is now on Lasco. So I haven't gotten there myself, but I think sometime this week or over the weekend, I'm gonna dive in and start pushing out some content there as well. So, but I know we made our first post just recently, so we are live. Actually, I think you commented on it, Chief, so you saw it already. But yeah, somebody sent me a PNG of it earlier this morning, so cool to see. Also on our end, just so everybody knows, before we jump into questions, that TLS is now fully supported on Coinmetro, meaning I think there was some issue with withdrawals at some point just recently, but now been fixed. So now when it comes to trading, I believe market making is now up and running as well, if I'm not mistaken, and withdrawals are also fixed and going out. So all good there. And Swap, which is our kind of buy crypto flow, which is the real easy couple button clicks and you can dive right into TLS. Now that market making's on, that's going to be the next step. And hopefully by next week, we'll get that live. So just so everybody knows. Yeah, CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, where I guess we're helping there as well to get you guys finalized, because working with those companies, as everybody in crypto knows, I guess, is slower than anybody would like, I guess is the nice way to put it. They don't respond fast, I guess is the
yes.
So we have a few contacts there, so hopefully we'll be able to get that over the line for you guys as well, get some more exposure, which is great for everybody involved. So so I don't even know if what the answer to this question is, to be honest. If it is, that's an amazing requirement, and I'm happy for it. But yeah, so everybody's wondering, I guess, if Chief, were you bald before, or was this a requirement? Did we make you shave your head?
I so want to say it was a requirement, because that would be so perfect. But unfortunately, I am follically challenged and have been for about the last 5 or so years, and decided that when I was spinning. I saw a photo of me when I got out of a pool, and it was like I had a full head of hair, and yet it just went straight through. And I looked at it and went, "It's time! It's time! I can't live this vain life any longer." So yeah, off she came.
Follically challenge. I like that one. We should have a website, I think, and
Yes.
join together. So here's a question from Contrarian. So in today's reality, is it possible to build a social media platform without mountains of money for marketing?
That's a fantastic question, actually, because anyone that sort of looks at what we're trying to undertake probably looks at it and goes, "Whoa, what are you trying to do?" So there are a couple of things involved in this that we tried to set up to make sure that we can grow in a sustainable way. So we do have a dev fee that sits on the actual block reward. So what we use is that dev fee to fund the actual project itself. Now, obviously, that's contingent on the price and things like that. So there is always a little bit of scrapping around for as much as we can get for what we've got, and that's always going to be startup world, right? So it doesn't matter where you are. If you're starting something up and building it from the ground up, you're always going to get your knees skinned a little bit along the way. In terms of the longer term piece, what we are trying to build is a chain that's used. So if you actually go through and actually have a look at a lot of the cryptos that are successful and utilized, it's because they have massive chain usage. So an example of that is Litecoin and even Solana to an extent just recently. They've both had huge amounts of activity on their chain. That creates volume, that creates stability, that creates a little bit of price realization, and more importantly, it creates an attraction to the project that you're actually utilizing. Our perspective is we are keeping the ecosystem closed to create that usage, so that both miners and users and holders and everything like that get the main benefit out of it. But what that also does is it builds us the opportunity to use our TLS to then build the actual product itself. So I personally have observed a lot of projects that have jumped into the space and they just don't have the funding, and their concepts are fantastic. And I watch them wither and die because they just don't have funding. Me as a businessman, I hate P&Ls that are reliant on venture capital to survive. I hate projects that have no ability to commercialize what they're attempting to do. And so what I tried to do is construct a project that gave itself the best chance for survival by allowing it to self-fund. So with that in mind, we sort of looked at it and went, okay, this is the best way to do it. And if we continue down this path, then we can actually achieve the goal. I don't anticipate that we are going to somehow tomorrow wake up and be a $60 billion social media company. That's unrealistic and not really within the realms of possibility, right? But what we can do is actually steadily build towards that type of a route. And I think we're seeing this as an opportunity for long-term paradigm change. It took basically Bitcoin 10 years to start to gain traction, right? To some extent, it took social media anywhere between 8 and 9. If you have a look at the way Facebook's trajectory went, platforms and paradigm shifts take time. If the fundamentals are right, it will win out, and that's what I think was core with what we wanted to start with, is get the fundamentals right, get the financial opportunity right, and then we can build from there. And we believe we've got that. So we can basically grow and take a little bit of time to get there, but we will be pushing in that direction with the dev fee that we've got.
Great answer. I think you mentioned Facebook. Obviously, before Facebook, there was MySpace, which obviously probably no one that's in the kind of Instagram generation knows what MySpace was. So that was a paradigm shift, not necessarily a paradigm shift, but a pivot, a very big pivot, where I'm sure when Facebook started, they didn't think they were going to take over social media from MySpace, which was a giant of its day, so to speak. I think you guys have a big advantage here in that the way that you're tackling the problem is entirely different. You're doing it within an industry that the people that know why they're in this industry are in this industry for good reasons. You're showing them exactly how that good reason can be used to solve a problem, decentralization, etc. And if the tokenomics are good, the field of dreams thing, if you build it, they will come. And I agree with you that Coinmetro went through the same thing. I looked at a lot of different businesses, platforms, whether they were exchanges, platform in general, right? If you build a platform and you tokenize it, there needs to be mechanics in the background that drive the reason to actually interact with that token, and also make that token the focal point of the platform when people are interacting with it, right? And so, and I think you guys did a great job doing that. And that's one of the reasons after Daniel, kind of shot us the info, we decided to get in touch. There's a lot of great ideas, as you said. There's a lot of great businesses. There's also a lot of great tokenomics out there, but it's very, very, very hard to find a great business with great tokenomics. There aren't many. Either you have people focusing on one side or the other. And, in this business, especially for diehard, crypto people, like I said, who are here for some of the right reasons, those two things need to be there. And they'll support it just because of that, even if, maybe it's not in their wheelhouse, so to speak, but they'll still support it. It's important. So cool. I hats off to you guys for getting that, or trying to solve that dilemma, or doing your best to solve that dilemma, which is tokenomics and kind of business mechanics tied together. So very cool. Oh, well, we already answered. My apologies. Let's see. So our own Jaime. So this is Coinmetro Jaime. Hi Jaime, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. Can you tell us if you're planning on building any bridges to ETH or Solana, or anything else for that matter?
We initially actually started ironically. So back when we were launching, we launched a bridge for ETH. We kept that up and running, essentially just to kind of get some traction, allow people to buy the coin via a wrapped version of it. There are thoughts around whether we should do it or not in the future. The main thing is that bridges tend to be a little bit fragile from a coding point of view, and we don't want to risk anyone breaching that and creating a problem for holders, particularly because we all see what happens when smart contracts go, bunk with different tokens. A lot of people get hurt, and I feel for those people because they haven't done anything wrong, and even the project themselves haven't done anything wrong. It's just that bad actors who have gotten in the way. Proof of work in that sense is pretty secure. Like you can't break it that way. So we are open to looking at it, I guess, but we would need to have it as a secondary sort of process at this moment, because I just don't feel comfortable putting people at risk like that. I think that's where it comes down to, and at that point, that I have to look at it and go, why would I put people at risk? So yeah,
you gotta weigh the positives, I guess. Back in the day, I think the majority reason for bridges was more about liquidity, right? So awareness, which led to liquidity, right? Because you had so many people transacting on. Back in the day, ETH was the place where transaction volume on ETH was all the transaction volume, literally on chain. Other than, let's say, your standard mining operations on Bitcoin, etc., the transaction volume ETH was massive. Obviously, Solana saw its day in the sun with meme coins, etc. But those things change over time, and those transaction volumes move elsewhere. So, you make a bridge, maybe it works well, but then transaction volume moves elsewhere. So you lose the awareness and the liquidity, which is the exact reason you started the bridge in the first place. So I think, with my opinion on this, if anybody wants to hear it, is that, kind of back to the last question or last answer that you gave, which was about kind of the mixing of tokenomics and platform usage. If that's done right, then that's where you get your liquidity from and your awareness, right? Because you get the awareness from people using the platform, you get the liquidity from people using the platform, and you kind of you create your own market where you don't need necessarily to bridge to other markets. And if you have this, ease of access with fiat, then that's a bridge in one sense of the word, because you're bridging in, fiat into your ecosystem, which obviously there's much more fiat than crypto in the world.
Yeah,
for sure. Thank you, Jaime, for the question. Thanks for tuning in. Lou's up next. All right, this has nothing to do with the conversation, but come on, Lou. Okay, so what is your favorite Australian rules football team?
I have to decline to answer this because there's none. I actually follow rugby league. which is the most barbaric sport on earth. Think of it as gridiron, but without the pads, essentially, and you don't stop running. And I follow a team called the St George Dragons in that sport. If I was to follow an Australian rules football team, it would probably be the Sydney Swans, who are also red and white like my NRL team. But yeah, so sorry, Lou. Hope I didn't disappoint you there.
Rugby is more interesting. But
yeah.
What is Australian? Because I have no idea what Australian rules mean. It's like, is it a major difference between?
Yeah, so it's played on a round pitch. It's the same type of pitch as a cricket pitch, and they have a smaller ball, a little bit like a gridiron ball. And what they do is they kick it from one end to the other, and then kick it back. And it's like foursomes back, and they just keep kicking, and then they basically kick it through a goal. And then they have 2 goals either side of the goal that you're trying to kick it through, and you get like not bonus points, but you get like make-up points if you miss, but you get it through the other one. But you get the key amount of points if you kick it through the middle one. It's a very interesting sport. So I call it aerial ping pong.
Adopted for like really hot climate. I don't want to run so much. I'm just going to kick. You know, I'm not running across this thing all day long. You know, it's like
it's basically marathon running with a football in your hand, and it's just like I don't have time for that. Like, there's no way I can do that.
Very good. So here's another question from Contrarian. By the way, Contrarian, I like your avatar. I think this is a new one. Pretty cool. So TLS on Coinmetro in plans. So what I can say from this is I'd love to do it. I guess the question for me would be is how we would make that work. But so maybe that's a dual question for both me and Chief. But I'm definitely game, I guess would be my answer to that question.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to investigate that as an option, because I think, you know, anything that helps people see the value in what we're trying to do and then gives them a little bit of a reward is certainly something that we would want to look at for sure.
Absolutely. Plus brings more awareness, etc., and also potentially more liquidity as well. Awesome. Be cool to sit down and kind of brainstorm a bit on what people would receive for, you know, doesn't necessarily need to be tokens, right? There could be accesses, there could be badges. I don't know. A lot of gamification possibilities, especially with the platforms you're building. Could be really interesting. So I think, Jaime came back in. Oh, Jaime's got another question for us. What was the motivation behind developing your OS?
Great question, and one that I'm actually very, very passionate about. So we have a highly skilled dev. I'm not sure if he wants me to say his name, so I'll just say he's one of our team. He's very private. I'm pretty sure he's Satoshi himself, but who knows, right? Anyway, he's very passionate about privacy, as I am. But what he's also passionate about is giving people the chance to interact and engage with the ecosystem. One thing I know is that the laws of certain countries around the world are very different in terms of what social media you can access. I'm very passionate about allowing people in those countries the opportunity to engage with other people and learn from them, talk with them, whatever they wish to do, basically. So that's part one. I wanted to give people access to a operating system that couldn't be stopped and allowed them the chance to get in there and talk to us. So that's part one. Part two is I'm very, despite being Australian, I'm very for free speech. I think people should be allowed the chance to say what they wish. So we wanted to ensure that if something ever happened, TLS would still be able to allow you to access it in whatever country you were in and engage. So we sort of see it as the ability for us to say we're censorship resistant. You can't stop us. And we think that's really seriously important. There has been a lot of turmoil in the last, I'm going to say 4 years, 3 years, in terms of what you can and can't say. And there's been a lot of politics around that sort of element. And all I would say is I think people should be allowed to have the conversation. You can disagree with them by all means. I have no problem with that. There's got to be things that I think I'm right on that I'm wrong on, and that I need people to tell me that I'm wrong. Like that's just, or show me where I'm wrong. And if you don't have that opportunity to have that conversation because it's shut down from the start or censored or from a centralized social media landscape perspective, it's just wiped out the door. We as people struggle to then be able to engage with important topics. So we built Telestai CB as a means for everyone to be able to access it all the time. So we like to think you can't stop us, basically.
Amazing. I think it's relatively crazy on how kind of modern democracy has gone from everybody has a voice to only some people have a voice. And yeah, at the end of the day, some of the best ideas that have ever come into fruition from humans are things that were viewed as things you probably shouldn't or wouldn't want to say at some point throughout history. So definitely we need more platforms that allow even things you don't like to be said, because you might not like it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not the right or wrong in that sense. But yeah, we need platforms like that. We need more platforms like that. That's amazing to hear. And the fact that you have an OS on the background ensuring people still have access, even if their country, state, whatever government thinks they shouldn't, is also quite amazing. So another great product to add to the list, that's for sure. Jaime is on fire, so we're going to give him another one. Is there any plan to somehow connect it to blockchain, decentralized VPN based on it, integrated on CB, for instance?
Yeah, so part of CB is that essentially once you download and install it, all the tools of our blockchain are there. So the core wallet, Zeroa, Lasco, all of those tools are actually accessible through it. In terms of connecting the actual OS to it with a decentralized VPN, I'd have to talk to our dev around that and the complexities of that. It's a great idea, certainly something that I'd be open to exploring. It's just going to come down to, can we achieve it? What's the framework we need to work in with that? So 100%, that's something that's on the list to talk about.
Amazing. I think something else that kind of popped into my head just about us, kind of Coinmetro and Telestai together, is eventually maybe using the decentralized ID that you guys created to have some type of single sign-on, so we can allow people to integrate or work with our platform without having to give up more data than hopefully they need to, which would be quite interesting as well. I obviously own a centralized exchange, but that doesn't mean that I don't agree with decentralization. In fact, I think for the most part, that's the future. I do think to get there, we kind of go through this hybrid scenario at some point on a broader scale, and then eventually kind of the powers that be and everybody sees that the reason why decentralization exists and the fact that it doesn't actually create risk. In fact, it removes a lot of risk that currently exists in most systems. So absolutely excited to see, I think even for Coinmetro, our future is going to be hybrid. I think we've already made some steps in that direction, and then eventually probably decentralization. Maybe not entirely, because I can't. Unfortunately, not all regulators listen to me. Some do, not all do. So at the end of the day, sometimes you have to do things that might not be exactly what you want to do to get where you want to be. But yeah, absolutely, decentralization is amazing, and it's one of the reasons why we need to make sure we keep pounding away so that this industry doesn't falter and kind of go the way of the dodo, I think.
100%.
Awesome. So I don't see any other questions. I mean, and if I missed one, please, we'll give you guys about a minute or two here to pop in questions on YouTube or any of the other connected channels. But Chief, if you have something else you want to mention, maybe something that you wished I would have asked, I don't know, but go ahead and you can take the last word.
Yeah, look, I think we've covered pretty much everything. You've been really great in delving into it. I think the bit that we really want to emphasize is we would love people to come and tell us what they think. Like, we actually want to encourage feedback. Come and trial our platform. Come and have a look at it. Tell us where it's bad. Tell us what the user experience should look like. Help us to understand the things that we can improve on, because that's valuable to us. So we want to be we want to be really enthusiastic for people to come to us and say, yeah, try this or do this. So please don't feel scared to come and talk to us. We have a Discord, a Telegram open. Come and trial out Lasco and type on there what you think isn't working for you. We'd really love to hear it, because that feedback is invaluable to us and we would really appreciate it. We will be looking to create a bit of a bug bounty of sorts where you can earn TLS by testing and doing different things on the platform. So we'd just like to ask people to be aware and open of that, because it'd be pretty cool to get your feedback, and then you get the benefit out of it in TLS. So that's certainly something that we want to encourage.
Awesome. And just before we go, where can they find you? Where can they find Telestai? What give us some @s, or Lasco? How does Lasco? Is Lasco also like an @ symbol, or how do we find?
Yeah. So great. I think we've actually got the @ symbol piece on the actual platform working. I just need to test that out myself. But Telestai_IO on Twitter or X, whatever we want to call it. I've got a Discord in that top section, and if you need the access to Telegram, come find it. I think we've got that on X as well, but I can't. Oh no, it would be on our website. So telestai.io is our website. So come jump in and have a look there. Zach did an amazing job refurbing that, so it looks fantastic too. So
awesome. I'm going to jump on Lasco this weekend. I'll let everybody know how to reach me there as well, so we can get more people testing it out and giving some feedback. So yeah, I'm Kevin Merkel. That's @Kevin Merkel pretty much everywhere. Yeah, X. I still say Twitter because it sounds better. Sorry. And you tweet on Twitter. I don't know what you do on X. I mean, you do X on X. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. So find me on Twitter. Find me everywhere else @Kevin Merkel. You can also find Coinmetro @Coinmetro, pretty much every platform except for I think Instagram, which is @Coinmetro_official, because apparently somebody stole Coinmetro from us, and we still haven't been able to get it back.
There you go.
Yeah. So there's another point in Lasco's corner that probably if someone stole our name, we'd get it back. But appreciate it, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Telestai. Thank you, Chief. And see you guys around. Cheers.